So I'm going to take a look at the West Bank now. Um, let's look at the West Bank full map. This is again a map from Maxwell. It's gives you an idea of where we're talking about, but we're going to really focus in on the north of the West Bank. Um, in the next map, you can see the real area of the Israeli attacks are in the triangle, what the British used to call the Triangle of Terror: Jenin, Tulkarm, Nablus, Tubas. Even Qalqilia has had mechanized invasions, and those they're not limited to the north, but they're focused on the north. Nora covered some of this through Tamara's reporting, her excellent story yesterday that people should check out. But we're 3 weeks into Operation Iron Wall, which is an interesting name to choose because that goes back to the roots of Zionism, and 𝐓𝐡𝐞 𝐄𝐥𝐞𝐜, that the only way the Israelis can exist, that Zionism can exist in the land that is overwhelmingly not Jewish, is to set up an iron wall. And that is, in many cases, it's literal. It's in the beginning, it was called the Tower and Stockade. So it was a base, a wall, and a watchtower. And that is going to be the focus of this operation that I'm going to get into today. But to just reiterate some of the things that were said earlier, UNRWA said that 40,000 Palestinian refugees have been forcibly displaced from the northern West Bank, 20,000 from Jenin camp, 10,500 from Tulkarm camp, 4,000 from Tamun town, which is just south of Tubas there. And 400 displaced from Far al Farah camp, which is just south west of Tubas there. And this is the second major operation. It's difficult to even demark these operations because Israel launched Operation Summer Camps, that they called them. The resistance called it the horror of the camps. And that battle took place from August into October. And then this Iron Wall operation began right after the ceasefire in Gaza was marked. And since then, there's been more than 77 Palestinians killed since January 1st. The Israeli military says that it's killed 50 fighters in 2 weeks, 35 gunmen, and 15 in drone strikes. So they're already admitting that that their combatant deaths are less than half of what they have killed. And Tamara reports on some of those civilians in her article. But the Iron Wall, again, to go back to that, the stockade and tower is what is going to be the focus of this next operation. I'll just set it up. This is a gunfight between a lone Palestinian fighter who raided an Israeli military position and single-handedly took down 10 of 11 Israeli soldiers. So this was in Tassir checkpoint, which was just northeast of Tubas, up in the Jordan Valley there. So let's take a look at slide number 14. It has audio. So that's the Iron Wall. The Iron Wall is that pillbox tower, the tower and stockade. The stockade is the bunker, is the barracks that the soldiers stay in. And so this Palestinian fighter, Mohammed Daragma, he is the brother of an Islamic Jihad commander from the Tubas battalion who was killed a year ago. He carried out this operation, a pretty remarkable operation, to target the tower itself, where the soldiers are. And it's very symbolic of the Zionism's way of gaining a foothold in Palestine, was through these tower and stockades. And that's what is being hit in this operation. We can look at the next one. You can see the top of the pillbox being hit by fire, but the soldier actually, the Palestinian fighter actually made it to the base of the pillbox. Number 15 shows that. You can see the gunfire hitting the top of it, and So this squad, Israeli squad that is guarding this tower, is 11 fighters, and the Palestinian fighter who attacked them, there's 8 wounded and 2 killed. So he got 10 out of the 11 fighting 1 on 11. And let me just read to you here from the Army radio. This is the IDF's version of the operation, which is all we have because Mohammed Dergma was killed. So a few minutes after 6 a.m., 2 soldiers leave the pillbox for the nearby checkpoint as part of the dawn alert. The Palestinian ambushed them both at the entrance of the outpost wearing a tactical vest and an M16 rifle with 2 magazines. So he took down the squad with 2 magazines. The IDF estimates that the Palestinians sneaked into the outpost on foot during the night and ambushed the soldiers at first light. The Palestinian charged the two Israeli soldiers from very short range in just a few meters and hit them very hard. At this point, an exchange of fire begins, which lasts many minutes between the Palestinian who is at the entrance of the outpost and the forces inside the outpost, consisting of a squad of 11 soldiers. During the exchange of fire, the Palestinian both entered the outpost and the pillbox, but the IDF emphasizes he did not go up to the top of the pillbox. So it sounds like he was on his way up to the top of the pillbox, if not up to the top of the pillbox, because otherwise, not sure why the Israelis would say, we emphasize that he did not make it up to the top of the pillbox. In any case, he made it back down out of the pillbox and was killed by a backup force that had just arrived. It sounds by this report from the Israelis that he was seconds away from getting away free from this pretty remarkable operation, 11 against 1, and he takes them down. And he is part of this operation was part of a number of operations that have taken place during this Iron Wall operation. 6 Israeli soldiers have been killed and 36 have been wounded in 522 qualitative and popular resistance operations in the West Bank in January 2025 alone. And they work out over this Iron Wall invasion to be 25 a day of operations, more than half of them armed clashes. So we're seeing the resistance in the West Bank meeting this challenge despite the being pushed out of their villages. Pushed out of their villages of Tamun and the refugee camps of Jenin, Al Farah, and Nur Shams and Tulkarm. If we look at number 18, we're seeing a really interesting thing that's matching the Gaza. Oh, that's the one more of the tower. You can see the tower got hit hard on that raid, and this is just very symbolic for people who aren't familiar with this. These towers, these pillbox towers, are all over. These Israeli towers are all over Palestine. They're how they keep guard. They're the watchtowers that are built into the separation wall, the apartheid wall that runs around Palestinian communities. They're all these outposts, these pillbox towers are at regular intervals all the way through the wall, and that's where they stick their gun out and snipe kids walking to school, or just generally wreak havoc as an occupying force from those towers. So they're symbolic historically, and they're symbolic today because they're built right into the wall. But this is what's been happening, and the fighters in Tulkarm here want to show us that they have set up a joint operations room that the Qassam Brigade, Saraya al-Quds Islamic Jihad, and the Al-Aqsa Martyrs Brigades, Youth of Revenge and Liberation is what they're calling the Al-Aqsa Martyrs Brigade faction in there. And they're saying our coordination is sacred, our sacred coordination. And that is an allusion, using the same words, to Mahmoud Abbas, the PA head, who in 2014, in the lead up to the 2014 war, said that security coordination with Israel is sacred and will continue whether we agree with the policy or not. And people at that time, in the lead up to the 2014 war, were calling for and have been calling for since the Second Intifada, for the ending of this security coordination where the Palestinian Authority is a collaborator regime that acts on behalf of the Israelis. And Abbas's saying that security coordination was sacred was something that stuck in the craw for quite a long time. And you can see the fighters here playing on that our sacred coordination is a joint operations room. So they're setting up joint operations rooms in the same way that Gaza has done that. And this is happening here in the Tulkarm camp. And just to give you a sense of what the communiques coming out of Tulkarm sound like, this is Al-Quds Brigade's Tulkarm Battalion the other day. Our fighters in the Tulkarm camp unit, alongside comrades in the resistance factions, successfully ambushed a 20-soldier infantry force at precisely 4 p.m. today. The enemy was attempting to advance and showcase its presence in Tulkarm camp when they were caught in a tight ambush. Our fighters unleashed heavy direct gunfire, achieving confirmed hits. We affirm that the resistance is alive and that our people's will shall never surrender to the dictates of the enemy and its agents, an allusion to the PA. From beneath the ruins of our camps and through the alleys that offer the enemy nothing but death and the might of our heroes, we shall continue to rise. The fighters in the Tulkarm camp, enduring over 15 days of Nazi-like assault, stand firm and reaffirm that the resistance will prevail and that our banner shall never fall. And then this is in Jenin. They released the same type of message in Jenin, that there is a joint operations room that's coordinated with Qassam, Sarai al-Quds, and the Al-Aqsa Martyrs Brigades, with a Quranic verse that says, "Our soldiers will be the victorious ones." And this is happening in Jenin as well. And Jenin has been ongoing attack on Jenin since summer camp started. It really never ended in Jenin. Before this Iron Wall operation, we'll remember that the PA, the Palestinian Authority security forces, had a 48-day siege on the Jenin brigades. The Palestinian Authority were part of the first 10,000 to be driven out of the camp, were driven out by the PA, not by Israel. And then now, in the preceding weeks of this Iron Wall operation, they're operating together side by side, the PA and the Israelis. Previously, the PA would leave and the Israelis would come in. In Jenin right now, they're operating side by side, and Israel is saying that they intend to stay in Jenin. We'll see how that goes. Abu Ubaidah, when he last spoke, to note the ceasefire on the 19th of January. He said, "We appreciate and salute the heroes of the West Bank for their stance of honor and dignity. A special greeting to Jenin, the sister of Gaza, in courage and defiance." So links between the West Bank and Gaza always in the messaging from both sides. And we're continuing to see that in the northern West Bank. So that is the resistance report for this week. We started in Deir al-Balah, we went to Netzarim, and this is the north of the West Bank.